Hi, this is Diane Lovetobake on YouTube, and what we're going to make are cookies, but we're going to make what's called chocolate Snickerdoodle cookies or chocolate sugar cookie, whatever you prefer. It's an easy recipe, it's quick, and I think a great tasting recipe. So let's get started. I am going to go through and give you the ingredient list right off the bat, and we'll put it together as quickly as I can so I don't have to keep you too long. And I'm sorry I no longer put the recipes below the video, and I'll explain at the end of the video why. But anyway, let's get started with all our ingredients. First, to make these chocolate Snickerdoodle cookies, you can use either butter or margarine. Now, if some people prefer margarine over butter or vice versa, well, this is what's great about this recipe. Plus, with prices being so high for ingredients, you know, margarine is generally cheaper to purchase than butter. But I prefer using butter. But again, this recipe, this cookie comes out great tasting with margarine, believe it or not. You need 1 cup or 2 sticks of butter or margarine. I went ahead and I cut it up into small pieces because I think it breaks up and creams easier and quicker for the video. I'm also going to warn you that every time I put my mixer on, to warn you about the sound, because it can be a bit loud on your end, so that way you can make the necessary adjustments of the sound. So I'm going to turn it on, and I'm just going to break up the butter, which will take just a few seconds. Now, you can also use your hand mixer if you prefer. I like to use the stand-up because I think it's quicker and it's faster for the videos. After you break up and you cream your butter smoothly, and longer than, of course, I just did. I'm kind of just moving things along quicker due to the video. And it depends on your speed, so, you know, but just wait till it's nice and smooth and creamy. The next thing that you're going to be putting in is brown sugar. I went ahead and I didn't break it up to remind you again to use it packed, so that you pack your sugar down, you know, in measurement. And I'm just going to break this up with my clean hands a little bit here because it was sitting out getting ready to do this video. Okay. And we're also going to be putting in 3/4 of a cup of granulated sugar. So we've got 3/4 of your brown sugar, and that's packed, by the way, bears repeating, and 3/4 of granulated. And I'm going to just cream that together, so I'll warn you about the sound. Now, spend whatever time it takes you. It might take you 3 minutes, maybe it'll take you 4 minutes. It really depends on, you know, whether you're using your hand mixer or your stand. But you do want to beat it very well, that it becomes very light and very creamy, okay? Now, what you're also going to be putting in, but I left out, unfortunately, I forgot, is you're going to be putting in 2 eggs. And I'm going to add 1 at a time and beat it in, warn you about the sound. That's the second one. And now I'm just going to raise my speed just to move it along. Okay. And again, make sure that you feel that it's well creamed, well beaten, that it's light and fluffy. And again, I would probably be doing it a bit longer than that. Okay, the next thing is let's concentrate on the dry ingredients, okay? You're going to be needing 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour, 1.5 cups, and that's what I have in here, okay? You're going to be putting in 1/4 cup of unsweetened baking cocoa, okay? It's the unsweetened. Not that you just add water and make yourself hot chocolate. It's unsweetened. And then with my little whisk, I'm just bringing it all together. You don't have to be real fussy with it. Just combine it together. The next thing that we're going to be putting in is a teaspoon of baking soda. A teaspoon of baking soda. All right. And we're also going to be putting in 2 tablespoons. And yes, it is tablespoons, just in case folks write to me and double check, which is a good question, but that's 2 tablespoons. And I like to repeat it again because I think it bears repeating if you're writing this down or jotting it down or whatever, okay? So we have that. The next thing is that we have to put in is 2 cups of oats. And these are regular oats. They're not the, you know, the quick oats. They're the regular, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just start putting some of my dry in slowly because I don't want to, you know, put it all over my kitchen. And I'm going to warn you about the sound. Now, I like to beat that till it all incorporates and becomes like a cookie ball, if that makes sense, or cookie dough. And now I'm going to slowly start putting in those oats, those 2 cups of oats. And now this is where I'm going to turn it up and just get it mixed in quick. Okay. And just stay with it till it's well combined. You don't want to overbeat it because I think the cookies then become tough. Just so that it's combined. I'll push that out of the way. And then I'm just going to take the excess off my paddle because again I hate to waste product because baking is expensive these days, but I still think it's cheaper than you know, buying it at the grocery store or the bakery or that kind of thing. But of course you got to have time to bake too, and that can be difficult with people working and raising a family and doing everything that you've got to do. So it's sure nice to be able to buy baked goods, of course, in your grocery store or your bakery too. But if you have the time to bake, or you can bake with your family, with your children or grandchildren, I think it's memorable. I do. I think it's like making memories with family, and it's fun. All right, now what we have is, let me show you. You got a nice, oh, it smells so good. When you bake these cookies, your whole kitchen's gonna smell like chocolate, which I think I love chocolate. And who doesn't, right? Okay, you're gonna have to either grease your baking pan or baking sheet, or use your paper or your silicone mats, whatever you prefer. I'm using a scoop. You don't have to. This is about 2 tablespoons, I would say, roughly. You can make 1-inch balls out of it. And let's see, I also have forgotten something very quickly. What we're going to do also is that we're going to add 2 tablespoons of sugar to 2 tablespoons of cinnamon. okay? And unfortunately, I've left that out. So I'm going to do this really quick, and I apologize for that, but we're going to put 2 tablespoons of cinnamon in, and we're going to take 2 tablespoons of granulated sugar, because we're going to roll this, believe it or not. This one. Okay, can't believe I forgot that, but I had a phone call right before the video and I think I got distracted. So now we're just going to roll these in. 2 tablespoons of cinnamon and 2 tablespoons of granulated sugar. Now, it doesn't look like a lot of sugar, but you will make it. You really will. It'll come close, but even if you do run out, you know, make a half a batch. Just cut it in half. You know, if you run out with that you know need more to roll. I like to use the scoop rather than make the 1-inch balls because I think they're more uniform that way, and that's exactly what I do. And I just lay them down. You don't have to flatten them or anything like that. I just drop them in this cinnamon sugar mixture and place them about 2 inches apart because they are going to spread, and you want to be able to, you know, give them room. Now you're going to bake these cookies at 375 degrees, and they could take you anywhere from 8 to even up to 15 minutes. You know, our ovens, I say this during all my videos, but it's so true. All our ovens set up so differently. So you know best of what, you know, your oven is like in baking. And, you know, like I said, give this, you know, a couple inches. And I will tell you, using this scoop, I got 44 cookies out of this recipe, 44. So just, you know, shy of three dozens, okay? Now, what I want to tell you too, when you're baking them, especially, I like to bake these particular ones only 1 tray at a time, and then I like to rotate them on the levels of my oven. But if you are baking 2 trays at a time, make sure to watch them close, and again, rotate, very important. You want them where they're not too dried out and over baked, but you want to make sure that the center of the cookie is firm, and that way it'll kind of tell you if it's done or not. So I'm gonna just wash my hands quickly, and then I'd like to show you the finished product. I don't want to touch any cookies when I've just touched raw cookie dough with egg in it. And this is how they turn out, okay? You can see the about the size of them. They're a nice, you know, size cookie. The bottom as well, the bottom it will be, let me talk about the texture here for a second. It will have a relatively hard bottom, okay? You know, it's not like a rock or anything like that. And the top is softer. And like I said, when you're baking them, look to the center. If the center looks firm, or if you can lightly touch it and it's not going to leave a huge impression, they're generally done. They're baked. Because this cookie you can very easily overbake because, you know, they look like they're uncooked, and you leave them longer. They are delicious too. Even if you do bake them a little longer, they're crispier. But I like them to be where they're softer or chewier than that. Then you'll see the top. It'll have the sugar and the cinnamon that we rolled it in. Okay, but that kind of shows you the top and the bottom. Now, when you break it, then you're going to see that moist chewy, delicious cookie. And I don't know if you can see it or not, but me pressing it together. Oh, this cookie is delicious with a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, or just dip it in some cold milk, a glass of cold milk. But they are really great tasting cookies. And again, I got almost 3 dozens out of making these cookies. And they're easily, you can freeze them. What I do is I individually freeze like 3 or 4 in Ziploc bags, and then I put it into another Ziploc large bag, freezer bag. And I find that I can keep cookies in my freezer for sometimes, you know, up to 2 months, maybe 3. You have to double check if it is around that 3-month, because you don't want to get freezer burn on them, because they're not going to taste very good and no one will want to eat them. But they do freeze up beautifully if they last that long, because a lot of times, you know, they get eaten up very quickly because they are such a great tasting cookie. So there you have it. You've got chocolate Snickerdoodles, or if you prefer to call it a chocolate sugar cookie that's rolled in cinnamon and sugar. Great tasting cookie, pretty easy to make, and I think you might like it if you try it. So if you try this recipe, well, leave a comment. I'd like to hear from you, and I will do my best to answer in a timely fashion, okay? And again, I'm sorry that I don't put the recipe below the video anymore, and I'm not alone on this, but very quickly, because a lot of people say, well, how come? So I want to explain, and not to bore you, but I got tired of seeing my work pinned and posted and claimed as other people's videos, and I'm not alone. And what frustrated me is that I would see people asking questions or comments, and I couldn't answer because it's not on the YouTube site, because that's the only place I put my videos on. So if you write to me, and please watch me solely on YouTube, I'm going to get your question or your comment, okay? So thank you for watching Diane Lovetobake on YouTube. If you'd like to subscribe, boy, I'd really appreciate it. Or ring the bell and give me a like. I can't thank you enough for taking the time to watch the video. Thanks again. Stay well, stay safe, and I'll see you soon.